The playoffs are right around the corner. The pennant race has 2 weeks left, and the greatest place to meet fellow Padres fans and participate in all the joy, the revelry, or the commiseration is on the Padres Hot Tub Discord. And the way to get there is by joining our Patreon, patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. What do you get for as low as $5 a month? A spindly amount. A gallon of gas, basically, that you get ad-free podcasts. You get access to all the shows that we do that aren't the main show. We do post-game shows after every win. We do group therapy at least once a week, sometimes twice. All of those shows are live for our patrons. We record them on our Discord. We send them to our patrons. But if you're not on the live feed, you don't get those shows. And then there's the Discord, a place that today on the off day, gents, was filled with lively board game chatter in the Padres channel, plenty of other joyous things. I mean, some channels not as much, but also you've got the watch party. You've got a chance to be with fellow Padres fans. There's not too many places on the internet that can promise that.
No, and I will say, specific to our Discord, for these last 2 weeks of the season, specifically this last homestand, we had on various days during the Rockies series anywhere from 4 to 10 tickets available for free in our ticket marketplace that patrons were willing to give them away to other patrons. And the only way that you got access to that is if you were in the Discord as a patron at patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub.
Not to mention, this is championship week of our Padres Hot Tub Fantasy Ladder League. I am in the C League championship game right now against Buffalo Padre. He's also in the championship week for our Dynasty League that we ran this year. We're up to around 8 fantasy baseball leagues alone, and that's before you get into the really goofy stuff like Survivor, Big Brother, or the NFL.
So check it out for yourself. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. It's a fun community. It's inexpensive to join and be a part of all year long. You can save 2 months by getting a year-long membership. Find out for yourself and join our community. Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Welcome to the Padres Hot Tub, everybody. I'm Craig Elsten, joined by Chris Reed and Raphie the Hat Cantor. We're here together recording on Monday, September 15th. We did wait a day to record a day later than we normally do, but that's because I worked all weekend. So, very simple reason. I was unavailable. But now here we are, and it's a Padres off day, so it works out absolutely perfectly. San Diego is in New York, getting ready to meet the Mets and hopefully beat the Mets over the next 3 days. The Dodgers are in Philadelphia, and everything rolls merrily along. We got plenty to talk about today. We've got the Padres series over the Rocks. We've got what we learned from the week that was, some bullpen questions, sobering look at where the chases are going forward, and maybe some encouraging looks at how the Padres are rounding better into form heading toward the playoffs. Before we go any further, just a reminder that we've got some brand new Padres Hot Tub merch that's out there. Oh, here, I'll do the other side.
There we go.
There we are. The Padres Hot Tub coffee cup. Listen, I use this every day now. This is now my coffee cup. And I can always choose. Did we win? Do it on that side. Padres Hot Tub logo. Did we lose? Stupid baseball. Right.
No one should
choose
watch.
for yourself. Choose for yourself. Pick your mood to start the day and fill it with whatever you like. You can fill it with coffee. You can fill it with Play-Doh. You can fill it with thumbtacks.
Oh, I like
Choose.
this game.
Choose what you want to put in your cup, but just get your cup. PadresHotTub.com/merch. There's also a t-shirt.
There is also a t-shirt. I will show it to our YouTube audience right now. It features, it is a tribute to our dominant lefty out of the bullpen who has been fantastic lately. I have no notes about his performance as of late, but if you would like to support Adrian Morejon at the next home game or in your place of work or on the beach, keep calm and Morejon.
When did that T-shirt come out?
It came out, let's see, it would have came out 10 games ago, and since it did, they are 6-4.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, I'm on Adrian Morejon's baseball reference page. Guess what his slash line is the last 15 days?
You don't need that website. That website's stupid, and no one
500 on base percentage against and 1,091 OPS, 6.75 ERA, 4 walks to 1 strikeout.
The Padres are playing quite well, and during the Mug era, the Padres were 7-12.
During the Mug era,
the Mug days are over. The Mug days are gone. So go buy your T-shirt. Keep coming more.
Why do we do this to ourselves?
Well, this is the thing now. I said this briefly before we started recording, but like we need to start thinking about who we want to reverse curse. So could there be Luis Arraez merch that could be coming down the pike in the near future? Who do we want to vex? I guess is the question. Do we start making Dodgers merch as a big reverse play?
No! Oh, wow.
Okay, this might be a useful transition starting into the show. Because I've been honestly thinking about things like this, because are we the reverse of the Etsy witches? As you may know, Mariners fans...
I was just talking with Raphie about this.
It was very well covered in the Cup of Coffee newsletter over the course of the last week. Like 10 days ago, Mariners fans panicked because their team had fallen... almost out of the playoffs. Remember when they beat us 2 out of 3 and we're like, damn, that looks like a World Series team. Well, right after that, somebody made a T-shirt in Seattle and the team fell apart and they were about to fall out of the playoffs.
That's false lore.
And then some Mariners fans hired witches that they found on Etsy to cast a charm spell. And the Mariners have won 9 in a row, and like half of them have been walk-offs.
That's awesome.
So are we the reverse Etsy witches? Are we like, what is going on?
I hired an old Catholic priest to tell our Discord community that the shirt wasn't cursed. I don't think that's as powerful as a witch curse, anti-curse. Witch spell? That's a spell. That's what that is.
It's a spell. Also, it wasn't a real priest. Am I is that?
No, he's a real priest. He's just not a real Catholic priest.
That voice getting really high there in response was real sure confidence. Yeah.
It's totally legit.
Yeah, it's a priest.
Totally legit.
I paid a person to say that a thing is not a thing.
And I'm not mad. Don't put in the newspaper that I was mad.
Right, exactly. Oh, my goodness. Well, we're sorry.
It's September 15th, folks. It's a playoff run. We got to pull out all the stops.
So here comes the Tanner Scott T-shirt line. It's coming right now. The Max Muncy is my friend. That'd be a pretty good T-shirt. Like, I'm willing to hug Max Muncy. Just an expression of tolerance, and it's just a guy with a hand over the back shoulder of a troll, and they're kind of like just walking to the bridge together. Like, it's okay. I'm with you, pal. These are just ideas.
Yeah.
They're great.
Shohei Ohtani did not do financial crimes. That's the whole shirt.
Yes, that's it.
With like a thumbs up.
He's got a sack of cash on a stick.
Totally legit.
These are good to great ideas. Maybe we should think of them. Okay, on to the baseball. Here's because there's some sobering numbers just in terms of like catching anything the next 2 weeks. I personally think that and we can get into the math of it a little later, but I think all the races are all but over, 95% over. And I think unless they change in the next 72 hours, we don't really need to worry about catching the Cubs or catching the Dodgers because we're just not going to. What matters is playing well enough to beat the Cubs in Wrigley and be able to go to Milwaukee and have a good chance to beat the Brewers and go to the National League Championship Series. That's all that matters, is the team finding the form and confidence to play well enough that they overcome the structural disadvantages that they have built for themselves assiduously over the course of 6 months. So along those lines, I would love toward the start of the baseball part of the show to highlight things that I think have been going well for San Diego over the course of the last week to 10 days.
Is this optimism corner? You're going to yell at us? You're going to poke us with a...
You better say something nice.
Corner.
Man, it's been a while.
Corner,
it's been a while since we had Positivity Corner. Thank goodness.
That's a good
2023 was a dark time. It was a very dark time, Positivity Corner. Last couple of weeks, we've had a very real, serious conversation about what the hell is going on with Manny Machado. Because Manny Machado went on a 6-week tailspin that rivaled the worst stretch of his entire career. And it happened right as the team got to full strength. It literally started August 1st that he fell off the hitting wagon. And a week ago, and on many of our group therapy shows, I've been begging for Mike Schilt to stand up and give Manny Machado an off day. Well, no one needed to flex their muscles in this relationship and this power struggle, as it turned out. They mutually agreed upon a plan of action. That plan of action was he was going to take the Sunday game against the Rockies off, and therefore he would have a day off his feet, and then the team flies last night to New York. So you kind of knock the travel out, and now he has a day in New York to chill. He could sleep all day in his hotel room. He could go walk Central Park. He can do whatever the bleep he wants. But Manny doesn't have to touch a baseball for 2 straight days, and because they don't fly on Monday, he does get like kind of a real, hey, Manny, it's you, man. You're in the hotel. The wife and kid, everyone's away. You know, don't need to be a dad. You can just go be Manny. You can go chill out. So here's what I really liked. And I'd really like to give Manny Machado a lot of credit for this. It was reported that on both Friday and Saturday, Manny Machado took hundreds of pregame swings, that he worked with Victor Rodriguez. And I mean, he worked and he worked and he worked and he worked. He was grinding the fuck for 2 straight days, knowing he had an off day that was coming up. Instead of saying like, well, I'm going to just get to the off day and crash, he was like, I'm going to put every ounce I have into the next 72 hours. I'm going to come to the ballpark. I'm going to be hitting at 2:00 off a tee for a 7:00 game. And then he reached base 3 times in each of those 2 games on Friday and Saturday. And he homered on Friday and he homered on Saturday. And he hit a ball the other way on Friday. And he was seeing the ball better. And we don't know what tomorrow brings. We don't know if Manny's going to go for his next 32 and it's just going to be a blip on the radar or not. But I thought from the standpoint of a guy who's tired, and then the team gave him a visible boundary and said, hey, Sunday's going to be your day off. They don't talk to us, so we didn't know. So we're always filling in the vacuum of what's Schilt saying to Manny? What's Manny saying to Schilt? Well, what it turned out was they communicated clearly to each other. They picked a day, and then Manny said, until that day, I'm going to grind like I'm a rookie that just got here to make the big leagues. And if that was the work that he needed to turn this thing around, that could be the work that was needed to turn the Padres season around.
I always worry when players get into these positions. We saw some more reporting with Jackson Merrill where they're struggling, and then the response is, I'm going to go into the cage and I'm going to hit 1,000 baseballs. I think that is something that I would probably expect more so from Jackson Merrill than I would from Manny Machado, because typically their thought process in those moments is, I'm physically doing something wrong, which might be true, but frequently it's, I'm mentally doing something wrong. And instead of attacking the mental side of things, players always go for the physical side of things because they're athletes, they're world-class athletes. That's the thing they've always excelled at. So why wouldn't I try and address that first? Whereas I think some athletes can be, quite strong mentally, but I think in many ways they're human beings just like the rest of us, and it's ways in which they can be somewhat pedestrian. I think what I am really encouraged to hear you say, Craig, is that he was seeking that help from Victor Rodriguez, because I think someone of Manny's stature who's on a Hall of Fame track could be like, I'm my own best hitting coach. What the fuck are you going to teach me?
Right.
And instead, it seems there was a good amount of humility that's come with this. And he's turning to the team appointed expert and saying, I'm doing something wrong. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. And look, I mean, I don't know if we're ready to hang the "We're so back" banner behind us yet, but certainly when the second home run sailed over the fence, it felt a little bit like that. So I'm glad that they came to an agreement and that we're hopefully going to see the fruits of it in New York.
I think that though he may be physically hitting balls, that's also a way of working on the mental side of it. There's thought processes in how you drive a ball, how you pull it, and what you're looking to do with it. I am often in the Padres hot tub Discord, not necessarily defending Victor Rodriguez, but just saying we're not privy to 90% of this man's job. We may hear once or twice a year about a player doing what Manny Machado does, because as we learned from Jesse Agler when we were down on the field with him earlier this season, Raphie, batting practice has been one of the things that have changed the most over the past 15 years and how these guys prep. Like, batting practice just isn't seen as that important anymore. They have machines that can much better replicate what a starter's going to do. And
that's right.
There's a way higher emphasis on workload management, just because we know it's 162 games are really long. So to hear about Manny doing this is it's an extraordinary thing. And I think that when you hear he's turning to the hitting coach, that's when you should understand Victor Rodriguez is earning his check. And I've seen some interesting statistics about Victor Rodriguez on the different Padres internets, what happened after he left Boston and Cleveland. But after Manny Machado worked with him for 2 days, he hit 2 home runs. So it's not all singles merchantry there in the Padres clubhouse.
The Padres overall have been hitting more homers over the course of the last 3 to 4 weeks. And of course, they had a lot of catching up to do. But it's very encouraging to see that. I put that at the top of the list because I think we all agree, and I think our audience knows and understands that if Manny Machado isn't Manny Machado, then the Padres season is over in 2.5 weeks. There's no getting around that. He is a prerequisite for the Padres to have any success. So if that's locked in, it's like, okay, now you can turn the key for door number 1. You can walk through this door. We can proceed. And I'm going to proceed to door number 2, which is one of the biggest in-season variables, suddenly going from yellow to green over the course of the last week to 10 days. And that is Jackson Merrill hitting for power, hitting opposite field home runs, hitting triples down the line, and hitting doubles into the gap. Jackson Merrill was swing and miss and single for a while. And he's come back from his third absence for the team, and he grew a little goatee. So, ball players are kids. Yeah. He grew a goatee. Gavin Sheets grew a goatee. Like, people are growing goatees. They asked Manny to grow a goatee. He's like, I can't even grow facial hair.
Such a great sign. Such a good sign that they're just doing anything silly and ridiculous. That's the best.
Yeah, it's super hockey, playoff beards, and everything else, right? But Merrill has been really lighting it up to the point where when he hit second in Sunday's, oh no, Manny and Arise are both out lineup, like, he was great hitting second. He lit it up. He hit a 3-run homer. He looked like a player who should hit second for the San Diego Padres. It made me wonder if he should hit second Tuesday against the Mets. Like, that's how good Jackson's got it going right now. And while Manny's a prerequisite, kind of like Tatis, like, those guys have to be going for the Padres to have a chance. Merrill's the guy who takes you from good to great and gives you a chance against elite teams. So I'm really excited with what I've seen from Jackson the last 2 weeks.
To put it a little shorter, like, he's playing like Jackson Merrill. Like, he's playing like the Jackson Merrill we saw all last year. And I will maintain, based on what I've heard from folks around the club, that Jackson Merrill was seeing friggin' 6 little birdies and stars circling his head for an entire month. And it's really hard to pick up a baseball when there's a little birdie flirting right past it. He was like a cartoon character. He was dealing with the effects of a traumatic brain injury. And his metrics, are worse this year in terms of a lot of things because of it. Like, he hasn't been able to hit the ball because his eye-hand coordination wasn't as good. I've added a lot of faith that Jackson Merrill would find his form eventually, as long as he stayed healthy, because the head injury wasn't all that he dealt with. He's dealt with the hamstring. He's dealt with all these little things that I think have added up over the year. But you're right, dude. Like, I would and it goes back to what I maintained last year with Jackson, with Nando followed by Jackson. Like, those two are such an amazing yin and yang of a dynamic ball player right after another. Like, I just feel like the energy is so good with him up the top there. Manny Machado has said that Jackson Merrill helped re-energize his love for the game. Those guys being 1, 2, 3, it just fits. It just fits. And I don't think it's going to be every day going forward, but I hope we see it more.
Well, there's some really interesting patterns that are changing in Jackson Merrill's batted ball results. And, StatCast now provides bat tracking info, which is really in depth, and you can go in and literally look at, on an X and Y intercept axes where a player is tending to make contact with the ball. And something that we've seen over the course of the year is that essentially Jackson Merrill has gone from someone who lets the ball travel a tremendous amount to now, in the last couple of months, really going out and trying to get the ball out in front of him, so much so that his attack direction from the beginning of the year has changed from about 3 to 4 degrees going to the opposite field to now he's a 0 to 1 degrees in the pull direction. So that's something that's changed. And specifically in the last 2 months, April, May, June, Jackson was catching the ball 26 inches out in front of his body on average. And in August and September, in August, it went up to 27.6. And in September so far, it's been 28.5. So a full 2 inches out in front of where he's normally catching it. So to me, what that says is that, he's trying to hit the ball for more power, and we're seeing the results for that. And that's number one. But B, I think it's a little bit more confidence of, instead of like playing reactionary and trying to play pepper to the opposite field, he's like out and trying to get stuff. So obviously I'm not the most qualified person to talk about that, but again, it's like one of those things where if I'm like Joe Schmo with a hat on over here and I can see these changes happening in a swing pattern, I'll be really curious, come the end of the season, if there's conversations that Jackson, lets us into that he had with Victor Rodriguez or whatever in terms of actual changes he's tried to make to his swing. Because even as he was trending in that positive direction last month, his exit velo was still down, and I think that is a sign of him trying to make adjustments and make changes. Now he's got the feel for it, and his hard hit percentage has gone from 31.6% in August to 52.2% in September. So here's hoping it continues.
We need a player on a heater in the playoffs. Trent Grisham, America's finest hitter. These types of moments. Like, you need players on heaters. 8 of Jackson's last 10 hits are for extra bases. You need somebody spraying extra base hits to make the Padres offense go. That's what turns it from being a pedestrian offense into a dynamic offense. It's doubles. It's triples. It's people running around the bases. It's a home run when we can get it. But, when this team is dead, it's like a plodding single, and then we bunt, and then we fly out and pop out, and it's just kind of ugly. So Merrill adding extra base hits is huge. And I'm going to stay on the offensive tip for a second. Fernando Tatis Jr. scored his 100th run over the weekend. He's up to 102. That is a career high for Fernando Tatis Jr. That's partially an element of his health. Fernando's only missed 4 games all year. He's got a career high on base percentage of 367. He stole his career high 30th base. He's now got a chance to get to a 25 homer season, which it didn't look like. It looked like for a minute he might not get to 20 when he had that, month plus where he sat on 2 homers. But unlike our previous story with Manny, the story that was reported of Fernando is that he had a tough game, and guess who he called the next morning? His dad, his number 1 hitting coach. And they had a long discussion. And now he's hitting the ball better again. But when you get those 3 guys going, you give yourself a chance. It allows everybody else to slot in. Sheets is continuing to hit the ball. Now you've got depth in the lineup. Now it's not hurting you that Cronenworth's high on base percentage is low in the order, because it's low in the order getting on for those hot guys at the top. It creates the circular motion offense that the club wants. So it all starts with the stars being stars. It's stuff we've talked about all the way back to February and through every rut that the club has had. But of all I'm kind of like starting the show just looking at the dashboard, right? Like, we can look at the roadmap. The roadmap is going to, and we will in a second, it's not great. It's a high elevation that we have to gain. But I'm looking at the dashboard, and I'm seeing a lot more green on the offensive side of the board than I did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about sort of similar trends that I was just talking about with Jackson Merrill with Fernando. Fernando's pulling the ball more. He's hitting the ball out in front of him more. The thing that's always fascinated me about Fernando this season is that he's never really stopped hitting the ball hard. Like, his lowest monthly hard hit percentage was 42%, which some players would blush at. So, even when he's like quote unquote struggled, he's really continued to be the strong guy that we've always known him to be. But in September so far, his launch angle has jumped all the way to 23 degrees, which, is up from 9 degrees in July and in August. So that's obviously going to increase your slugging percentage. He has an expected slug this month of 639. And that's obviously going to lead to better results, especially as we go to potentially a park like Wrigley, where we've got some very interesting dimensions and a potential home runs opportunities for the boys that they haven't had playing in the cavernous Petco Park.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I read that Nando has done the exact same thing that Jackson Merrill's done, which is focus on letting the ball not letting the ball come to him as much and going out and getting it. Saris had a blue ski about it that I saw, I want to say, within the past week. And sure, there was a 4 strikeout game in there, and Nando's always tinkering. He's always making adjustments. But that may explain why he's got 5 home runs in the past 30 games, matching the team lead with Manny and Ramon Laureano. The dashboard also should show that Jake Cronenworth is doing a great job turning in at bats, and that, if 4 or 5 of those guys go, that's going to be a recipe for playoff success. The most important part of my dashboard, what the meter I'm looking at, boys, is which starters are standing out, which guys are kicking it into the next gear, because they're going to have some decisions to make for games 1, 2. Maybe not hard ones. But it really is the most important thing to me. Like, what does Michael King do? He only has 2 starts left, right? Maybe
Right.
3, because he's next up. Maybe Michael King will get 3 regular season starts before he's expected to pitch in the playoffs. Same with all these guys. So it's going to be that. That's what I am looking at at the end of the regular season.
Well, great transition. If we agreed that things are more encouraging on the offensive side, now you have to look to the pitching side. And of course, a couple weeks ago, when everything was completely falling apart and the team went 2-9, they couldn't get a starter out of the 4th inning. And every single guy who went out there was putting the team in a hole of something between 1 and 4-0, usually in the first inning, but quite often in the first 3 innings, always putting the team in a hole, making the bullpen useless, because you're only using your low leverage guys, kind of destroying the win condition for the San Diego Padres. We only have that 1 start from King. We talked about it, but not on a live, not on a main show. It was a mixed bag. Let's be honest. 5 innings, 2 runs, good. Some of how he looked stuff-wise, good. But if not for Fernando, he would have given up 3 homers in those 5 innings, and he would have given up a couple more runs as well, at which point no one would have said it was a good start. They would have said it was a bad start because he gave up 3 homers in 5 innings. Overall, I'm really curious and excited, let me put it this way, to see King pitch against the Mets. I think his stuff has looked good enough, and I think Michael has just not had enough time to command his pitches. I remember very well what he looked like in April last year before he had command of his pitches, and he was struggling with home runs allowed, on fastballs, and on walks. He was struggling with walks. And then when he found that release point, he found that zip on the comeback to seamer, and so on and so forth, and he knew where his pitches were going, he became one of the top 7 or 8 starters in the National League. I think he's got enough time to get there. He's not changing his arm angle like for advanced experimentation. So I'm pretty encouraged for King. Any disagreement?
No, I mean, also he's pitching for a contract right now, which I'm personally very excited about. He is truly the free agency enigma of the 2025-2026 offseason, I think, because what was the big concern that people had about Michael King when he came to San Diego? Oh, he's good, but can he stay healthy? And he was pretty healthy last year, and he was pretty not healthy this year. And I'll be very intrigued to see how the market values a guy like Michael King, because yes, like Dylan Cease, has not had the year that he's wanted to have going into free agency. Someone's still going to give him $150 million because he has the raw StatCast, pitching ninja stuff and data.
Innings. He's got the innings.
And the innings. And exactly. And that's worth its weight in gold. I don't think that Michael King's going to be changing things, going to be tinkering with things now when he's got potentially tens of millions of dollars on the line that he's going to be working on. He's going to be trying to do what he does well, and he's going to try and execute and get a feel. So
pitching well in the playoffs can make you a lot of money. I think about what Jordan Montgomery did a few years ago.
Hell yeah.
A lot of folks were like, wait, Jordan Montgomery, should he get a free agent contract? And the Diamondbacks are like, well, maybe not a long one, but here's, $30 million a year, brah. And, however that worked out, it worked out really well for Jordan Montgomery. So the playoffs, when all the lights are on him, can make a lot of money. And you're absolutely right, Craig. Like this matchup, Michael King versus Clay Holmes, two converted relievers going at it. I don't care so much about the result, although I, of course, want to see them pound the Mets. But I care about Michael King's sharpness a great deal.
Yeah, I care about the result in terms of his performance. If the Padres lost 2-1 on Tuesday, I mean, that would really suck. But if he went 6 innings, 2 runs, or 7 innings, 2 runs, that would be a win for 2 weeks from now, unquestionably so. I think Yu Darvish is gonna be a roll of the dice no matter what. But I just have more faith in him to mentally be in the right place to compete in a playoff game, in a must-win game, and I trust him far more to make an adjustment if something isn't quite right to start a game or a playoff game. I thought Darvish's last outing was encouraging, and I've got him in my playoff top 3.
Okay. And that is King, Pivetta, and Darvish.
Correct.
That is Cease Darvish for Craig.
Yeah.
Cease again. Right.
Back to back.
Yeah. Him on 0 days rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? If I mean, I was really thinking about this before the show. This is the one thing I'd say and we can talk about Cease if you want. The only game I would start Cease in a playoff series, if you told me I had to start Dylan Cease in a playoff series, then you guys probably know which game I would start him, right?
No.
Game
1. Game 1. The
yeah.
only game that you can lose and not be dead in the series.
Yeah.
That way, if he's great, amazing. We won game 1. But
I was going to say game 4 of the World Series up 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, that
That's
too.
my
I mean,
answer.
absolutely. I mean, realistically, no, I would. And if I was in charge, I would 100% utilize Dylan Cease like the Padres utilized Mike Clevenger in 2022. You're the 4th guy, and you're going to start when we have to use you. You know, they had to use him in game 1 of the division series that year because it went 3 games in the wild card series. And so they had to use him in game 1 against the Dodgers, and he lost. They had to use him in game 4 against the Phillies. And of course, he blew a 4-0 lead in no outs and lost. And these are the type of things I'd expect from Dylan Cease. And that's my trust level with Dylan Cease. 2 starts ago, I said going into these 2 Rockies starts, that Dylan needed to give me 13 innings to show me that he could dominate a bad team. And he was fine in both starts. He was fine against the worst team in baseball, but he gave me 11. He gave me 5 and 6, and I was looking for 6 and 7. And it's a small thing, but it remains a sign to me in the playoffs, you would never get more than 3. From Dylan Cease, like 3 1/3, 4 if you were thrilled and beneficial and lucky. But he's going to throw 25 pitches an inning in the playoffs at minimum because he doesn't have the command to get guys out on strike 1. So I just don't see a path where you utilize him as a starter in a 3-game series unless 3 guys have dropped in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, I was texting with Dylan from Letters to AJ on Friday during JP Sears' start that the Padres lost against the Rockies. And he texted me and he said, nothing about tonight dissuades me from believing that JP Sears should be an opener. And I don't think that that's something that the Padres would ever do. I don't think that they would have JP Sears open for Dylan Cease, but I could see potentially the reverse happening where they have Dylan Cease go 1 time through the order and then they have JP Sears go, or 1 and 1/3 times through the order or something like that. And then have JP Sears take on a couple innings or something like that. Because, we saw that JP Sears is good 1 time through the order. I mean, I think he struck out like 7 guys, like 6 or 7 guys that first time through the Rockies order until they saw him the second time and they went back to back off of him. but just giving teams that optionality where, they have to consider that they're going to be facing a lefty at least one time through the order for sure. I think that can do wonders. That will only help Dylan Cease is if teams are not allowed to optimize to compete against him. I don't know if the team's willing to risk giving JP Sears meaningful innings, but I also don't know what the team's playoff plans are otherwise out of the bullpen. Because, traditionally in the playoffs, you see at least one, if not two starters in the rotation shift into the bullpen to start covering bulk innings. Randy Vasquez seems like one of those guys, obviously. But, JP Sears has that added bonus of him being a lefty. And, it's like you got Morhone, you've got Peralta, you've got Matsui.
You've got Kyle Hart. I'm Kyle Hart over here. Don't forget about me.
JP Sears
you don't
is
have
the
Kyle
new
Hart.
Kyle Hart. JP
but
Sears is
that's
the
what I'm
playoff
saying.
Kyle
If
Hart.
you turn JP Sears into the new Kyle Hart, that's a massive upgrade.
And I think there's a lot to be said about guys that throw different stuff up. Like if you were, in the theoretical world where, David Morgan can be your guy that you open with Dylan Cease. I think they look a lot the same. I think you're kind of
Power
doing
righties.
the thing, but JP Sears with Dylan Cease, like you've got like slow ball, all of a sudden fastball, or vice versa if Dylan's doing the start. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. And I'm game for it if we get out of the NLDS. Like, I think that's the type of creative solution we didn't see the last time around in the championship series. But I feel like this club is built on the pitching side to win the shorter series with the three starters they got in King, Pivetta, and Darvish. If it gets to game 3, I trust you, Darvish, in the game 3 over everybody else. And with the bullpen they've assembled, especially assuming if the guy I just brought up comes back in any way, shape, or form.
Well, speaking of that bullpen, unsurprisingly, and as is the tradition of relievers, they give ground in September. This is when you give ground. It's the end of the season. You've been pitching all year. You're at your most tired. You may not even have your command. And frankly, that's what I've seen from Jeremiah Estrada. Jeremiah gave up his 10th home run of the year on Sunday. He did it on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball that was his first pitch of his outing. The fastball gained velocity as he went on, but that first one came out 95. The target was the top line of the strike zone, and he threw it about 3 inches underneath that. And it was massacred for a long home run. When Jeremiah's been good, he's still striking out guys. He's punched out 2 in like multiple outings. But I think I read in AC's newsletter, he's 1-2 strikeout outing away from either tying or setting the Padres record for consecutive minimum 2 punch out. What a random ass record that is. But it just shows you
Jeremiah Estrada record,
It is. But it's like, it just shows you he's been punching out everyone. He's got over 100 strikeouts on the season. But with fatigue, command usually goes before velocity. And even for a player who's, and I'm not saying that this player is, but even for a player who's trending toward injury as a pitcher, often it's not the velocity that necessarily goes away until the very, very end when, like, Joe Musgrove's ligaments shredding and all of a sudden the fastball's down to 88. But most of the time it's like, no, you've still got the heat. It's not quite going exactly where you want it. And frankly, with Morahone too, that's what I've seen, the last handful of outings is that they're not putting the ball in those just delightful pockets that they were snapping him into with regularity for 5+ months.
Yeah, and I mean that Jeremiah's fastball is one that, lives on the edge in a way. Like it's something that when he's throwing it at its best, when it's got velocity, it's got a lot of rise, it's got a lot of induced vertical break on it. It's meant to be thrown at the top of the zone. You don't execute that right in the right way, it's a meatball. And that's basically what happened on Sunday. And I mean, that's another just downstream part of the Adam injury, unfortunately, for the Padres is like part of what made the Miller acquisition so exciting was not only that you get this unicorn, which we'll talk about him in a second, but he truly is just a unicorn. But you also just get to spread the workload a little bit thinner amongst all these guys who have just been gassed throughout the year. And now Estrada has to be in the victory formation basically every game again when
That's correct.
Like, him and Adam could have been switched out. So it's you're not only losing Adam, but you're also eating into the efficacy of a fatigued Jeremiah Estrada. So yeah, I don't know. Agreed.
Yeah, it's, it is what it is. These guys are giving ground. Suarez, by contrast, got the benefit of having those 2-3 weeks in the beginning of August when they had the 5-finger death punch, when he was only being brought out now for pure save situations, and then the team went in a little bit of a slump. And so he kind of got 2 weeks off. I mean, really, so did Mason Miller. They both had like a 14-game stretch where they pitched a combined 5+ innings, and that was one of those things that made you go, wow, that's why you don't spend gigantic resources on a bullpen, because when you're down 3-0, your bullpen is pointless. But regardless, those two guys are firing. They look amazing going into the playoffs. Estrada and Morejon do not. Morgan is down. Marinaccio threw incredible the other day, like revelatory good. And just to put a last dot on, because I want to agree with you guys on JP Sears, it would be so easy just to dismiss what he did. If Ramon Laureano just doesn't drop a very, very easy fly ball that he fought to a draw and then fell to a knee and then the ball went into and out of his glove, Sears pitches a perfect inning in that 4th inning, or gives up 1 hit and busts out of that inning scoreless. The first time through the order, he punched out 8 dudes. So, just don't use him a second time through. It's like if you properly utilize this tool, you could definitely have something. I would trust JP Sears over Kyle Hart in a specifically tailored situation in the playoffs. That's not saying a lot. I wouldn't trust either of them, compared to, honestly, even a Wandy. But
no, Wandy's a professional, man.
Yeah.
No,
well, I mean,
Wandy
these guys
slander.
are professionals too. They get paychecks, but
yeah, but Wandy's a seasoned vet that gets a larger paycheck. And he looks good.
He looks
owns
great.
a ranch.
I heard that. Morgan is a curious one. We're not going to know until we find out. When they say shoulder, I'm thinking we'll see you in 2027.
Same, man. Same.
But then I heard, I forget who it was, whether it was AC or Lynn or Cassaville, somebody, I heard them say, oh, no, he's already throwing. They think he'll be back in 10 days. And that makes me wonder, because we don't know. They could have literally just given him a shutdown period. Like, hey, you're a little tired. We want you to be good in the playoffs. We're going to give you a shutdown period, and we'll call it shoulder. What's hurting this morning, David? Yeah, my shoulder's sore. Okay, shoulder. So we don't know. That's why I started that comment by saying we won't know till we know. If he doesn't come back in the playoffs, he's got an actual problem, and I'm quite concerned about his big league career. Not to be dramatic about it, but he's a flash in the pan, showed up 40 great innings. If he gets hurt, tears an elbow ligament, you may never see him in the big leagues again, or you might see him 6 years from now. On pop up on a different team on a random Tuesday for the Guardians. And you're like, oh, you remember David Morgan? I hope that's not the case. I hope he's around and kicking ass. But I think it will be as simple as against Arizona the last weekend of the series season. Is he activated or not?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Craig. I want I want the best for the guy. But just kind of like my cynicism of relievers and their propensity to get hurt and the club's reporting of injuries. Last guy had a shoulder injury because he slept on it wrong and he disappeared for 2 months. So hopefully whatever you heard is accurate, because he is a weapon out of the bullpen, and I think he has seen a more intense workload this year by like an order of magnitude than the dude had ever seen in his career, because he pitched college, he pitched minors. It's just a different level of intensity. It's a different level of, pitch design and everything, and all the stuff that goes into what can cause injuries. He's had to run a way fiercer gauntlet than he ever had. But how these things kind of work. Ron Marinaccio, the Karate Kid, next man up, doing quite well, looking good doing it. And, I think that you want David Morgan in the bullpen rather than Bradley Rodriguez. But I do think Ron has earned at least a really close look for leverage innings, not necessarily high, but medium leverage innings in the playoffs.
But you'd pick Randy Vasquez over him for that 8th reliever role, wouldn't you?
Oh, shit. No, I'm probably taking Randy Vasquez over Yuki, but no,
I don't even think Yuki makes a team. I think they'd take Hart over Yuki.
Wait, do you really?
I do.
I kind of do too,
Really?
Rafe. Honestly, yeah.
I think they already told you, Rafe.
Pitching now.
In that 1-0 game in the 8th inning, they brought in Kyle Hart. And then when it got out of hand, they brought in Yuki Matsui. Like, if they trusted Yuki Matsui, they would have brought him in the 8th inning.
Yeah.
You guys know me. I'm not very big on the spreadsheet baseball, but I do think one time a year that it really friggin' matters to have strong swing and miss is the playoffs, just because the randomness of putting the ball in play kills games and leads to longer inning. And right now, Ron Marinaccio has a FIP below 2, boys.
Like, but in what, 5 innings, 7 innings?
Very small. You're right. That's why it's got to be the next 2 weeks. It's got to be proven over the next 2 weeks. Like, give him a little bit more workload. If it comes time that we clinch a playoff spot, give him a 7th inning. Give him an 8th inning. Like, put him where you might put Jeremiah Estrada on a day to give Jeremiah the day off, just to see what the dude can do in the pressure cooker.
It's 8 2/3 innings.
Really. Now I believe in it.
He's struck out fewer guys than 9 per inning. Than 9 per 9. He struck out less than one guy an inning, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
But more than Randy Vasquez is all.
He has a 0, or he has a 2 FIP because he's given up no homers so far. So and he hasn't walked a lot of guys, so that's fair. But I mean, just to your point though, Chris, about you need swing and miss stuff in the playoffs, and just for folks who aren't christened into the Church of David Morgan yet, he has the 2nd best stuff plus rating on the team after Adrian Morejon. It's right above Robert Suarez, right above Jeremiah Estrada, et cetera, et cetera. This list doesn't have Mason Miller on it because he hasn't thrown enough pitches for the Padres, but obviously Mason Miller is going to be right up there. So he really has the 3rd. He has the 3rd. Mason Miller has a stuff plus of 124. That's absurd. Adrian Morejon 119, David Morgan 115, Robert Suarez, et cetera, et cetera. But still, so your best stuff, best righty stuff outside of Mason Miller on the team, down with an injury. Really want him to come back.
Speaking of Mason Miller, just very briefly, something I had brought up
it all, man. Eventually, we're gonna get the chance to see Mason Miller in the playoffs, and oh my goodness, I cannot wait for that. I cannot wait for the national broadcasters calling that guy because he has been absolutely insane. He struck out like half the batters he's faced as a Padre, right?
I saw the Dennis Miller stat that basically Dennis Lynn stat, not Dennis Miller.
Hilarious.
Dennis Lynn stat about Mason Miller, which was that after his 2nd post deadline start, in which I think he gave up a home run or whatever it was, Mason Miller had a 58.5% strikeout rate for the Padres. and I don't think had given up an earned run. So just like truly, truly absurd god tier stuff. And we have a long time before we're going to know how that trade pans out. We're going to have a long time. And I was texting a certain erstwhile member of the Discord whose name might rhyme with Schmevin. And
he gets you too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He texts me, and you wouldn't believe you wouldn't believe this, but he had thoughts about the Padres trade deadline,
which was fire Preller immediately.
Yeah. So I said to him this, which I will say now, which is that I don't know how the trade's going to pan out. We're not going to know for probably a decade if it was worth it. But Mason Miller is a one of one. He is a unicorn. Like you have him on the team for the next. You have 5 playoff runs with Mason Miller, and like no one else in the league has him. Sorry.
Right.
So that it comes with a very high value, and I understand that, and a lot of risk associated with that. But like literally every team wishes they had Mason Miller in their bullpen for the playoffs, and the Padres have him.
Yeah.
Fangraphs Power Rankings has Robert Suarez 2 overall this season, Mason Miller 5, but over the last couple weeks, Mason Miller is the 3rd best reliever in baseball.
Who's won?
I don't know, some freaking dude who's not on the Padres.
Oh, okay.
I would guess it's probably Chapman.
Yeah, that's right. Chapman's been ridiculous this year.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I wanted to say about Andrew Miller, I don't know why my internet crapped for a second there, but thank you guys. I had a dream at the deadline, and unfortunately, the Jason Adam injury has prevented that from being the case. And my dream was that the Padres would use Mason Miller like the Gardindians and the Yankees used Andrew Miller. Do you guys remember Andrew Miller?
Oh, yeah.
6'5" lefty, sidewinder. And 2016, 2017, all-star seasons, Andrew Miller, they unmoored him from any traditional usage pattern. It was, where's the game on the line? Miller's in. And my dream was that with the 4 horsemen already in place, that Miller could become our Miller, if you follow my gist, and that there would be a game where the bases were loaded in the 4th inning and Mason Miller was in the game. Because that was the moment. Obviously Cease would have been starting, and the Padres would have gotten a 3-run homer early, and then he would have walked the bases loaded like the CC is. And then in comes Mason Miller, because you can. Because you have the ability to just throw him at the single biggest win probability variable in the game and then go, okay, and we've got Adam, Estrada, Morejon, and Suarez to take care of the back end of the game. Now you don't have that. So now Miller is more locked into a fireman within the structure role, like we saw on Sunday when he comes in, in the 7th inning to cover the 7th and the 8th. I think you'll see that regularly in the playoffs for the Padres. But my dream, as sick as it is, was to see him in the 4th or the 5th. Like, we're just going to throw him at whatever. And I just brought that up also because I did a tiny bit of research. And did you know that Andrew Miller has the 3rd best modern postseason ERA in the history of baseball? Baseball. 0.93.
Who's above him? Mariano?
Mariano Rivera is not only the most successful postseason playoff pitcher, it's not close. He had 141 playoff innings of 0.7 ERA.
That's unbelievable.
Oh my God.
141 innings.
What's that like?
0.7.
Is that like 10 runs?
If that is it,
like something like that.
It's but Andrew Miller is the 3rd most successful reliever in postseason history. 38 2/3 innings of 0.93 ERA baseball, and a lot of that came in those like fireman situations. And he was absolutely brilliant. By the way, this is one of those Raphie style trivia questions. but I promise you, I could give you at least 100 guesses and a couple of
number
hints and a couple of hints, and you won't get the second most successful reliever in postseason history. He is a lefty. He's pitched
Is there a
this
qualifier
century.
to it?
Minimum of
Like
30
how many
innings.
innings?
Minimum of 30
Okay.
innings. Okay. He's a lefty.
Oh my God.
He's pitched this century, and he pitched for the Giants at points in his career. That's a lot of hints.
That's a lot of hints. And you're saying you can give me 100 guesses and I won't know.
I don't
who it
think
is?
you'll get there. I don't think you'll get there. Because I saw
I'm
them like,
thinking of a
what?
reliever.
It was like that old cartoon jaw drops to the floor. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Okay, a reliever who pitched
It's
for the
a reliever?
Giants in
It's
the
a reliever.
90s and in the 90s and 2000s is what I'm
He definitely
sussing
pitched
out
in
of
this century. For sure he pitched in this century.
Okay.
He may have pitched before that. I'm not going to say for sure, but he definitely no, he's the 21st century. I will give you that too.
A lefty. Dude, I'm not even gonna try. This is I don't like the sound of Craig saying I'll give you 100 guesses and you won't get it.
I don't.
That's...
Watch Chris do it in one guess. I would.
Yeah.
You may watch the explosion of a head on the internet.
Well, full on. Like I got nothing. Like I'm thinking. I don't even think friggin' Brian Wilson was a lefty, and like that's the.
No, he was a righty.
He was a righty.
When he was in grade school, he spoke in class today.
Wait,
All right, yeah. Now you're doing references that I don't even.
Jeremy Affeldt is the answer.
Oh, yes, I remember that, dude. He's number 2 all time.
0.86 ERA in 31 and a third playoff innings.
Wait, hold on.
Jeremy Affeldt. He's also number 1 all time in WHIP. 0.702. He is the lowest WHIP pitcher, 30 minimum innings in the history of playoff baseball.
Well, okay, so
Jeremy
he was on
Affeldt.
the 3 World Series Giants teams, but he was also on the 07 Rocktober team that beat the Padres in game 163.
Yep.
14-year career. Like, dude was around forever, but would never have guessed that because
I knew it.
Looking at his page, he notched 28 career saves in 14 years.
Yeah,
he had a career ERA of 3.97. Like,
this is the most random shit I've ever seen. I was like,
incredible.
and also
Fun.
31
All-time
basically
heat check.
shutout playoff innings. So ridiculous. But yeah, so
That's awesome.
that was a dream I had, and that led me to a Jeremy Affeldt stat. So that's just wild.
Love
That's
it.
baseball. Baseball's fun.
baseball. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why my internet went crap right when I went to the Discord to try and pull up a graphic. So I'm not going to risk it again. If you're in our Discord, Andrew and Val put up this great graphic. And if one of you guys want to try and share screen it, it's in the Watch Party channel. But it's a
How far
lovely, not very far. It's like 1 post, 2 posts back. And it is a lovely not flow chart, but a chart of if then for every playoff team in regards to the Padres. What do the Padres have to do to catch or pass or prevent someone from catching or passing?
I'll put it up for our YouTube audience. You know, you guys have stuck around with us and are watching our stuff, everything. It's actually based on a tweet from @DannyBarand on Twitter. And here it is.
Okay.
Can you zoom in a little bit, Chris? I can't really read it.
Yeah, maybe click on the graphic itself to expand it.
There it goes.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it's
There we
the
go.
ticket.
And the text has made a chart to see how the Padres' final 12 games will stack up versus the other teams and what their scenarios are for seeding. If you think you spot any issues, blah, blah, blah. But there you go.
Okay. So this is something I kind of chatted about a little bit before, but this chart is why all I care about is the Padres form, because the top of the chart is very difficult And the bottom of the chart is very difficult for the opponents. Let's start with the bottom of the chart. If the Padres go 5-7 the rest of the way, okay? 5-7. If they suck the rest of the way, they are still virtually a guarantee to make the playoffs. Look what the Giants would have to do. They'd have to go 13-0. The Giants are going to play the Dodgers 4 times this week. The Giants could lose today. They're losing to Arizona today. Okay? Arizona would have to go 12-0, and the Mets would have to go 11-1, and obviously that means they'd have to sweep the Padres. You know, they'd have to. The only way they really realistically could achieve these 2 results is they would have to sweep all 3 games at Citi Field, you know, the next 3 days. So that's the bottom of the chart. Even if the Padres went 2-10, the Padres went 2-10, the Mets would have to go 8-4 to pass them. And that's not enough to miss the playoffs. The Mets would have to go 8-4, and the Giants would have to go 10-3.
Yeah.
In order for the Padres to miss the playoffs. So the Padres, no jinx, anti-jinx technology has already been running. The Padres, the Padres have already made the playoffs. They are in the playoffs. They're not in, but look at the bottom of that chart.
It is not 2021, is what we are saying.
Yeah, it's virtually impossible. It involves them losing all their games for the Padres not to make the playoffs. So I'm willing to just dismiss the bottom of the chart. The top of the chart is just about as bad, okay? If the Padres win all their games, then the Dodgers only have 3 losses left to spend this year. If the Padres go 12-0, they win the division unless the Dodgers go 10-3. So,
or better.
Right, 10-3 or of course, yeah. I mean, if the Dodgers win 11 or more games, the Padres can't pass them.
Yes,
and I'm terrified because they're on an all-time heater going into the playoffs.
Right,
yeah, no shit,
exactly.
Yeah.
By the way, since the Dodgers, I just read this afternoon. Since the Dodgers went to their 6-man rotation, they have the best rotation in baseball. They are number 1 across the board in stats, in ERA, in FIP, in everything. So
that's what they were supposed to be. So fine,
right? Yeah, they're loaded.
Their
for
bullpen still is a big question mark.
Yes, but again, look at the top of this chart on both sides. The Padres going 12-0. Still, the Cubs 9-4. You know, 9-4 in the tiebreaker. They win. Dodgers 10-3. You know, it's not unrealistic the way those teams are playing that they could put up those numbers, and that's if the Padres win every game. Let's say the Padres go 9-3, which is great. It'd be something we'd be really, really excited about if they win 9 of their last 12 games. Well, now the Dodgers 7-6, or the Cubs have to have a losing record, 6-7, for us to pass them in the standings.
The one that jumps for me is the Padres going 7-5, because that feels pretty damn likely for this club. That's like how they've played all year long, which means the Cubs and Dodgers, for us to leap them, would have to go 5-8, which is not likely. Those are good.
Not likely. It's just not likely. And that's my point.
Yeah.
We can now let go of the rope as a fan base. We've been clutching on this rope. I've been feeling it. I'll give you an example. Friday at the Wave game, right? The Wave are playing, but I've got the Padre game on, and I'm just feeling it. I can see the Dodgers score. I can see what's going on at Pac Bell Park. I know they've got this opportunity. They get 2 runners on and they blow it. They get 2 more runners on and they blow it. They get another 2 runners on and they only score 1 run and they lose that game. And I'm like, no, we're going to lose it. You can let go of that stress now, Padres fans. It's all but over. Only extreme, crazy results remain viable on the board now. All the average results are, we are going to go to Wrigley to play the Cubs.
Yeah.
The Dodgers are going to win the division, and they will play the Mets or the Giants, probably the Mets. And Brewers are going to be the number 1 seed, and Phillies are going to be the number 2 seed. And that leads me to, I started this show with optimism. That table isn't great for the folks who are out there going, we're going to win the West. We're going to win the West. It's like, no, you're not. You're not going to win the West. I mean, maybe go 12-0, maybe. But I'm going to go back to something I said to you guys weeks and even months ago. This is the path. This is the path the Padres, specifically our team, this is the path they need to take to go to the World Series. I'm back. Good.
It's worked out.
This is the path.
Before.
Yeah, this is the path they need, because I believe this. I do not believe the Padres can beat both Philadelphia and Los Angeles in the same playoff. I don't think they have it in them. I just think those two teams are too good back to back. That's a tough way to go. I think they can beat the Cubs at Wrigley. Doesn't mean they're gonna. Just like when they went to New York, the Mets were favorites. You know, the Cubs are gonna be favorites. But I think the Padres can beat the Cubs at Wrigley. They do not look like an indomitable team to me. The Brewers have had a losing record for over a month now. They're doing that thing. They started the season with almost 2 months of a losing record. Then they went like 51-15 or something. Then they've had a losing record. I like this path. Milwaukee doesn't have the most dominant control pitchers in the league. They don't have the most overwhelming power in the league. That's LA and that's Philly. Those are the teams with the overwhelming power and the dominant control pitching. The Cubs have a staff. The Brewers have a bunch of guys. You know, Peralta's good. Like, I'm not demeaning them. They've got a great record, but there's no way eye test boxing match. You're in the ring that you look at Milwaukee, LA, and Philly and don't pick Milwaukee as your fight partner. Like, you're going to pick the Brewers.
No, I think that you're 100% right, Craig, because on the other side of the bracket, you're going to have the Phillies, the Dodgers, and probably the Mets. And assuming if we're going to go down this road that the Padres are left standing and are able to play in the NLCS, of the 3 Phillies, Dodgers, and Mets, they've all eaten each other until one remains. And then you just got to dispatch one of them. And if you told me before the season who are the 3 teams I least want to face in the playoffs, it's probably the Phillies, the Dodgers, and the Mets. Like, it's probably those 3 teams. So in a way, things are kind of coming up Millhouse. I mean, I'd prefer to be playing at home and prefer to have a bye, but you know, barring that,
I'm not going to go as far as Millhouse, man. The Brewers have Peralta. Their playoff rotation would be Peralta, Priester, Woodruff, and Mizorowski. And Mizorowski has fallen off a little bit, so he's not as scary as he was when he first came out. But Woodruff's look pretty good. You know, those are all right-handers that, you know, could be problematic for our boys.
Say it louder. Say it louder from the back. Those are all right-handers, which means
but the Cubs,
Arise, Merrill, Hearns, Steets.
You know. You're not wrong, but then the Cubs have left-handers. They got Shota Imanaga and Matthew Boyd. So those are 2, like, you know, not overpowering guys, but you know, they don't scare me. Either way, the Padres will have to get over an obstacle in those rotations. But the Padres, to me, like, I know the Brewers have won a whole lot more games playing against the Cardinals and the Pirates and, you know, whatnot. But like, the Padres are, like, they play a very similar brand of baseball than the Brewers. You know, it's like, get on base, do some good base running, get first to third, don't give away outs at all on defense. You know, play solid defensive ball. But the Padres also have, you know, 2-3 superstars, depending on where you want to put Jackson Merrill. Whereas the Brewers got Jackson Chourio, and Christian Yelich, and then a whole bunch of scrappers.
Look, I'm more afraid of the Cubs than the Brewers. I am.
Mm.
I'm more worried about getting out of Wrigley than I am about winning and then going to Milwaukee. And by contrast, if we got the 3 seed, I'd be like, okay, we got the Mets at home, presumably because we would have had to have gone 10-2 to 12-0 to win the division. That means we would have pasted the Mets along the way. So we would feel good about the matchup, but then we'd be going to Philly after that, and I'd feel terrible about the matchup. So even if we went out in the first round, this is the path you want. This is the path you want for San Diego. So I'm not mad at it. All I care about, like I've said for a while, is for this team to play well enough that you can see themselves on the field being dead even with these teams or being better than these teams. The Cubs and the Brewers don't scare me if Jackson Merrill is getting an extra base hit twice a game. Gavin Sheets is ripping it. Machado is back locked in. Tatis is locked in and having the second best season of his career. The offense regains its circular motion. King is pitching well. Darvish is, found the angle that he needs. Pavetta's a dude. We've got Mason Miller. We've got Suarez. We've got the 4 horsemen. Like, I'll take my chances when this team's playing well. I'll take my chances against these clubs. And so, to me, that's what the next 2 weeks are about. And I'm just giving up for the sake of your sanity. Stop focusing on the standings. Doesn't matter. We're going to finish 5th, and we're going to play the Cubs, and we're going to beat them, and then we're going to go to the Brewers, and we're going to beat them, and we're going to be in the NLCS, and it's going to be amazing. That's my mindset. Play well and take care of this path right in front of you. It's the path you'd pick if you could pick it. If you were, truth serum, this is the path you'd pick.
I completely agree with you, man. The bullpen's better than all those teams. Star power when going, matches up with anybody in the league. It's a bit of a bummer that they won't have a guaranteed game more than likely at Petco Park in the playoffs. I think it would be bigger for the Padres than a lot of teams. Like Padres home field advantage at Petco Park greater than Milwaukee's home field advantage, or they're going to be the 1 seed or the 2 seed, but greater than the Cubs for sure.
Hi, I'm back. I don't know what's going on with my internet, but that's sorry, right. I missed 20, 30 seconds of what you said right there.
No, it was all vamping.
Oh, perfect. I don't know if you guys have anything left. I only have one thing left, which is I just feel for Kevin Acee. And it's his fault because he's told us through what I love, his daily newsletter. I think he's been sending the Padres fan base little notes the last 3 weeks going like, get me away from Mike Shildt. Just get me away from this guy. I can't take it anymore.
Dude, what is the thing he said about him? Like, if he was trying to protect himself, he wouldn't be poking the bear. Don't poke the bear, eh?
Right. But I just thought it was funny. Like, I was doing some reading today, and like, Dennis Lin is not quoting Mike Shildt the way that Kevin Acee is quoting Mike Shildt.
No, it was the one about how Mike Shildt cares very much what everybody thinks. Like,
it was like, no, he's always looking for second guessers, even ones that aren't there, like stuff like that. This is what I mean. He's sending messages, and he relayed Acee in Saturday's newsletter. Was it Saturday? Sunday's newsletter, because it was after a win. It was after Saturday's win. Related an incident of Mike Shildt gaslighting him that, my first reaction was like, God dang it. And then I'm like, now I'm going to be on either the radio, and I did bring it up on Ben and Woods this morning, or here, and it sounds like I'm ripping Shildt, and then we'll have some of our folks going, I thought you were on Shilt's side, now you're ripping Shildt. I've really very rarely deviated from the position I established last year, which is I think Mike Shilt's a good manager that honestly I would think was a better manager if I never heard him speak at all. Like, if he was silent, I would probably rate him significantly higher than I do, because when he speaks, his sensitivity and his just desire to gaslight the people around him drives me crazy.
Yeah.
This is what I'm referring to. He took umbrage because AC, and my point is, AC's writing this stuff. So he's telling us, it's like, oh, you wouldn't believe what my girlfriend said to me this time. You know, that's kind of like what these stories are becoming. He said, she said, but he was asking Schilt a question about the team coming out of its run of poor play. And to be clear, they've still gone 8-12 in their last 20, the San Diego Padres. And Schilt cut him off at the pass and said, hang on, cuz. This team's gone 5-3 in their last 8. Do you know what that winning pace is? Ace man. And in his own telling, he goes, I fumbly, sheepishly with a math question said, is it a 90 win pace? And Schilt cuts it. It's a 101 win pace. Cuz 101. So I feel good about the way the team's playing. To which the correct response was, well, honestly, Schilt, if you played the Rockies 162 times, you should be on a 112 win pace, shouldn't you? Or 120 win pace.
120, yeah.
Shouldn't you? Not 101? Like, don't gaslight me, dickwad. You just played the Rockies 7 times. You went 5-2. That's actually not good enough. We would still be talking division if you went 7-0, because you'd be a half game out. But instead, you're not. So, anyways, I'm not bringing that up to rip Mike Schilt. My point is that Mike Schilt is terrible to the press, to a specific group of small people. He uses actual gaslighting strategies to talk to the press. He does it for the reasons he does, and it has no impact whatsoever on the way he manages the team or the way the team plays. It's just how he handles the press. He's terrible at it. It makes me actively resent him when I hear him speak. But when he manages, I think he manages pretty well. He's a little stubborn. He's a little too trophy case. He's a little too stuck in his ways. But mostly, I would take him over many of the Padres managers, as long as I never heard or wrote about or read writing about him speaking again.
I'm gonna send a Keep Calm and Morajon shirt to Mike Schilt on Tony Gwynn Avenue.
Maybe send it to Ace. I feel like Ace needs some love right now. I feel like he needs a pat on the back. I do. I think he needs an attaboy at the very least. He needs like a couple random people to just come up to Kevin and go, "Attaboy, you're doing a great job, man."
Attaboy, Kevin AC.
Good Lord, I just saw Kevin AC walking through the clubhouse. No time to talk. Too busy reporting, apparently.
Padres hot tub. We love it. Let's go kick some Mets butt. Let's see. If Philly can sweep the Dodgers and the Padres can sweep the Mets, you'll hear a different tune on Group Therapy when it comes to the division chase. Otherwise, keep calm and keep winning, and let's keep rolling, and go Padres.